In his talk, Culata discussed the 5 areas that teacher preparation programs need to pay more attention to, so I'm going to focus on the 4th one, which was know how to be open. So educators knowing how to be open is something very important. This is the part where he was talking about making an old TV dinner and how basically all you can do is heat it up. You can't really turn it into anything new. And he compared that to books and how these curriculum-based books are just very cookie cutter and you couldn't really be creative as an educator with them. So a definition of knowing how to be open, in my words, are instead of just offering cookie cutter materials with definitive lessons, being open in education means having open license resources so teachers can use what they need in the best way for their students. This encourages teachers to be creative and do what is best for their teaching methods and their students' learning types. Now, a more exact definition from UNESCO, which is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, they have on their website this definition. Open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research materials in any medium, digital or otherwise, that reside in the public domain or have released under an open license that permits no-cost access, use, adaptation, and redistribution by others with no or limited restrictions. So basically, overall, what open educational resources are basically a free-for-all and making sure that teachers have the access to the materials they need and what students need out of their classes. So this is not including, class sets of books that are bought at schools or maybe even online resource websites that have lesson plans and awesome games and activities for students that you have to pay for that would not be included in OER because they are not free and open to the public. So these are specifically things that are free and open to the public. So why OER is so important and relevant to our education system now is that it definitely benefits creativity between teachers and students. So teachers are able to be more creative and make lesson plans that they think will benefit their students. At the same time, it allows students to be more creative because more than likely their lessons are more suited to their learning types when they have these more cookie or non-cookie cutter lessons planned for them. Once again, this is student-based, so teachers can really find the resources that will actually benefit their students. And on the other hand, it's teacher-tailored, so the teacher can actually use what he or she would like to use rather than just being handed a set of books from their principal or school district. Cost, obviously, these open educational resources are free and in public domain, therefore it cuts down on cost of books and worksheets and workbooks and all that kind of stuff. Validity, I think this definitely relates back to how the world works today and how we're a very cross-cultural, collaborative community, and that's simply because of the web and social media. So I think it is very valid to have open educational resources and value. So this OER basically doesn't discriminate against maybe school districts that don't have as much money as the next. Therefore, the value of education becomes just as equal anywhere with these awesome resources that can be available to anyone. So some more significance within education. Some of these repeat the relevance and importance topics that we just talked about. Of course, it saves money because it's free. It benefits the students and teachers. It allows teachers and students to have higher quality resources, and that relates back to what I was saying about school districts and principals maybe not affording or getting the best books and resources for their students because of cost. This obviously combats that, and since they're free and public, then they are able to get the best resources possible for their students. Collaboration between teachers. This is one of the best parts about OER, is that teachers get to talk amongst one another and figure out what's best for their students, how it worked well, what didn't work well, and how to continue and grow and learn and be a better educator. Student connectedness. So this is a little bit of a stretch, but I think it's definitely true. Students across the country say they are using similar OER resources. They're having similar experiences with similar activities or online sites where they're getting to be interactive. Therefore, these students have similar experiences, which leads to them having more educational, equal experiences. Therefore, it puts them on a more level playing field. And before we look at some examples of OER, we're going to take a look at the ISTE standards. The 5 that I picked out for OER are learner, citizen, collaborator, designer, and analyst. And overall, really, these tie hand in hand into what OER is and how it encourages the educator to constantly improve and promote being a good educator with quality resources. And then designer specifically, I think it definitely allows educators to more or better fix their lessons and activities to their students and really design what's right for their classroom rather than just teaching from that cookie cutter book. And I included analyst. It may sound like a bit of a stretch, but after using these OER resources, teachers are able to look at the data and see, oh, is this benefiting my students more than the books that we were using before? Should I continue to do OER? And then kind of seeing how their classroom is looking from the way that it did before. Now I want to take a look at some examples, but specifically some examples that can be used in agricultural education, which is what my major here at Clemson is. Now, some of these are not examples of OER because some of them are paid, so I'm going to take a look at some of those first. So my ICEV is something that is paid, that I'm using a friend's account, that's why it says welcome Justin, just to show you. So these are basically sample lessons that he has been using while he's student teaching, but these lessons are made from ICEV and then put on here for teachers to use, so that's not necessarily a OER example. Another one that's not a good example, I'm trying to think. Oh, MyCart. Yeah, so let me go to it. MyCart is something that's very popular in the world of agricultural education. See, it has its own agriculture tab and everything, but this is also something that you have to pay for in order to get access to these lessons and activities. Now, before I move on to actual OER websites, here's a Facebook page. It's called Ag Education Discussion Lab. And here's just a quick example. This is a teacher that is sharing a worksheet that she had made for her students. Therefore, she's just sharing it with everybody in this group, and that's super awesome. Sharing her open resources, saying, here's what I have. I hope you enjoy it and your students enjoy it as much as mine do. This is a great way for teachers to collaborate and talk about agricultural education across the nation. So, American Farm Bureau offers some awesome free resources and lesson plans. They have some great infographics here about agriculture. And I would like to say most of them are based more toward kids, but some of them are higher level. But American Farm Bureau is a great organization to work with. Then we'll take a look at Farm Bureau's Ag in the Classroom. So this is a part of American Farm Bureau. Ag in the Classroom is actually a program that usually elementary school student or teachers go through, and it teaches them how to include agriculture into their everyday class. Also here is a national FFA organization, part of their website, that basically offers these really cool lesson plans and worksheets for students. For example, this is my friend Ian Bennett. He was a National FFA officer, and this is a worksheet that was developed based off of his retiring address. So this document offers a lesson plan, all the details of how long this should be, and blah blah blah. And then down here at the bottom it has this awesome little infograph to make sure your students are paying attention while watching his retiring address. But yeah, these are just a few of some of the great programs that OER is offering specifically to agricultural education.